Oh, my name is Zach Kinsler, the Senior Solutions Engineer here at Boodlebox, and I'm excited to give you a deep dive into everything that we have to offer here. So before I jump into the platform, there's a few really important things I want to touch on. First is security. Security is at the heart of everything we do here at Boodlebox, and that shows with our FERPA, HIPAA, GDPR compliance that we meet. How do we do that? We have contractual agreements with all of the large language model providers that I'm about to show you today that state they're not allowed to train any models on any of our data. And on top of that, they're not allowed to store it for more than 30 days. All prompts are completely anonymized. All knowledge is completely encrypted end to end. Second is equitable access to artificial intelligence. Everyone says that AI is a democratizing technology, but we believe here at Boodlebox that the only way to make it a really democratizing technology is to provide unlimited access to all of the premium top of the line models that are available, and that's exactly what we do. Third is environmental impact. So here at Boodlebox, we actually reduce environmental impact by about 95%. Finally is collaboration. So everything on Boodlebox can be done completely collaboratively with multiple human beings and multiple large language models. And finally, a little cherry on top is we have a bunch of AI literacy tools built into Boodlebox platform, which I'm excited to show you today. So let's jump in. So this is what you'll see when you jump onto the platform. And before I start prompting any AI models, I want to walk you through the AI tools we have available. So these are really important to us here. These are custom bots, custom GPTs that do exactly what they say they do. And one thing I like to touch on here is that with an experience on Boodlebox, it changes a lot of things in the platform. And you'll see highlighted as workforce. Although we are 110% focused on higher education, about a third of our users are just random people that enjoy safe, collaborative artificial intelligence. So if I change this to student, these will change here, and for the sake of the demonstration, I'm going to have it on post-secondary, which is higher education faculty. And there's a syllabus generator, case study generator, just about anything that you can think of. And you can filter that down by doing this here as well. So now we are going to jump into all of the AI models I have available here today. So we give unlimited access, no token limits to all of these super cool models. And I'm going to give a little explanation of why I would use each. So let's jump in. ChatGPT. Top of the line model. Everyone knows about ChatGPT, right? And we give you unlimited access to all of them. My daily drivers are ChatGPT 4.0 for simple tasks and ChatGPT 5 when I'm trying to do something complex. I like to explain ChatGPT 5 to help me write an email is like driving a Lamborghini to the grocery store. It's not necessary, and we hope you can learn that here on Boodlebox. Next is Claude. Claude is another flagship model. I like to compare ChatGPT and Claude like Apple and Samsung. Apple's ChatGPT, Samsung's Claude. So my daily driver with Claude is 4.0 Sonnet and 4.1 Opus when I'm trying to drive that Lamborghini around, right? Next is Gemini. So Gemini and all the other models on Boodlebox have their own respective context windows. And what does that mean? I explain a context window is the amount of food an AI can fit in its mouth, right? So Gemini can fit the most information inside of it inside a Boodlebox. Inflection Pi, this is my favorite model that no one really uses on Boodle because they don't know about it. This is fine-tuned on human emotions. It's super, super awesome and really great for your everyday tasks. Meta's Llama, I like to explain this one as the most raunchy large language model. Amazon's models, don't tell Amazon I said this, but this is the worst one on the platform for everyday usage. But we like to leave it in there because a lot of our innovative faculty members use Amazon as a benchmark comparing for Amazon and ChatGPT to really hammer home that this is a technology. This is not just an ever smart thing. Amazon's a great example to use there. Mistral, we work with some French institutions, and there's a story behind this one. So the French institutions were not going to use Boodlebox until we had the French hometown hero in there, and it took us about 2 weeks. So if there's a model anyone watching this video uses that we don't have, let me know, and we'll get it on the platform. Next is web research. So Perplexity, many of you have probably heard of this, but Perplexity is specifically designed to search the internet, and Cohere, I like to explain as Canadian Perplexity. It's pretty much the same exact thing. It's just a Canadian company. Semantic Scholar, this gives you unlimited access to 214 million research papers on a database, and it'll give you abstracts, downloadable links. It's great for research. So if you click these three dots and say View Bot Profile, this is going to highlight a little bit more about this model. So next is image generation. I have so much to say about these, but I would just recommend jumping in and playing around with them because you can unlimitedly generate images. And one thing that's really cool is image generation is pretty bad for the environment. And Boodlebox actually reduces that. You can make about 20 images on Boodlebox for every image you can make outside of it. Next is our Boodlebots. So moving away from those large language models back into those custom bot GPTs like we started with in the beginning. These are our teacher bots. So we work with about 200 educators from around the world that actually built these for us. I say our teacher partners pave our roadmap, and they actually have things that they built on our platform for everyone to use. And these are great at doing exactly what they say they do. And then maybe if you're not teaching and you want to do a little home and gardening, we have bots for that too. There's just about anything. You can build your own custom bots, which I'm going to show throughout this demonstration, and then discover, if you're watching this video like, Zach, what is going on? I don't know the difference in any of this stuff. Come to the Discover tab and search whatever task you're trying to accomplish, and Boodlebox will recommend the model to use. So, with all that being said, I'm going to jump in. If you type @ in Boodlebox, that will change the model that you're using. So I'm going to start with Perplexity, and I'm going to say, tell me about some recent AI news. And while Perplexity's searching, it takes a few seconds because it's got to go do that global search. There's a few things that I want to show. Coach mode. You can turn this on and off. This is our AI literacy tool that is hard at work whenever you're using Boodlebox. And you'll see that highlighted here. It's going to give you some academic skill progressions. And as well as academic skill progressions, it'll give you prompt engineering tips, feature discovery, things like that. And these links on Perplexity are always live. So it'll bring me to this. And those sources are also available here. So you can click these. And the thing that's super cool about Boodlebox is if I wanted to, I could switch to ChatGPT 4.0 and say, can you dive a bit deeper into that second bullet point? So this is called bot stacking, and I love AI because sometimes I don't spell things right. But bot stacking has lots of benefits, right? Everyone understands that these models are good at different things. Perplexity's good at searching, GPT's good at things, Claude's good at different things, Pi's good at different things. But with Boodlebox, you can get the best of all worlds in one context. So you'll see ChatGPT went and did a little more deep dive, and all models on Boodlebox have access to the internet. But bot stacking, another benefit besides using just the best of all the AI models, what it allows for you to do is reduce hallucinations. So all of these models hallucinate differently. And a hallucination I like to explain as AI confidently lying about something. So what will happen is when you stack models on top of each other, it actually reduces hallucinations by up to 95%. And that's not just a Boodlebox thing, that's an AI thing in general, but we just make it super simple and easy. So next, I'm going to touch on our knowledge bank. So our knowledge bank is where you can upload PDFs, docs, TXT, CSV files. You can upload them here, but if you often find yourself uploading the same document over and over and over again, what you can do is grab it from your knowledge bank. And not only can you grab it from your knowledge bank, you can actually stay incredibly organized with the Boodlebox knowledge bank. So this is my Management 101 class. I have my case study files, I have my tutor files, and I have my syllabus and my discussion board rubric. So it's a great way to keep everything organized. It can be accessible through this, or up here at the knowledge bank. So next, one thing that Boodlebox can do that no one else can do currently is grab multiple people and put them in one group chat. So if I sent this to whoever's watching this video, you could hop in here and work with me. So I'm going to go through a few examples of that and how that can be used in the classroom. So first, we're just going to start with the classic discussion board, right? So in a discussion board, what you can do is send messages. And as you'll notice, there's a teacher and 3 or 4 students working in this chat. And the first thing you're probably thinking is, where's the large language model output? So that is something we really, really believe in, that the human is not at the center of the human AI interaction. And we plan to be the catalyst that puts that back. So what you can do on Boodlebox is switch to message mode here. And as you'll see, it'll cross that large language model out down there. Or you can also switch to that message mode by doing a /. And what that allows you to do is provide context to multiple people and large language models in one spot. Because in this discussion board, you can call a custom bot in, or you can call a large language model in. So this just upgraded discussion boards. The next thing I like to use it for is incredible for case studies. So what this faculty member did is started the case study off by saying hello, and then the students jumped in and started having a conversation. They asked the case study for a few questions to, further details, get some prompt engineering tips. Then we assigned each role. Then we called Claude in to help us with this case study. Then we continued and we called ChatGPT in and continued and called back in that bot that's trained on the case study. So it's a great way to work interactively. And the next thing I like to touch on is our intricate foldering system here in Boodlebox. So I, as the teacher here, I own all of this. If I shared this link to whoever's watching this video, you could add and move things around below this folder. I like to think of it like a Google Drive folder. But when I break this down, I only have access to this because I've never shared it with my students. Discussion boards, I've shared this with my students, and you can see that there's a little person there. So from a student view, they could only see that week one. And if I have a submission form, same thing. I shared the chapter one submissions with my students, and they could just see that. And same thing with the case study. So this is really, really, really great. So the foldering system, I like to explain kind of like a Google Drive folder. And this is to work on group projects, have students turn things in for faculty to see, things like that. And the idea is that Boodlebox is not a big brother. Boodlebox, yes, everything can be collaborative, but your faculty members can't see everything your students are doing. But with a new feature, it is very possible to have complete oversight, and we're going to jump into that. But next, I want to touch on our custom bot building and why that is valuable. So you come over here to Bot Builder up here, and this will bring you to Boodlebox's Bot Builder. To build a new bot, you press here, and I'm going to just show what a blank bot will look like on Boodlebox. So there's going to be some workflows, kind of fill in the blanks, AI Mad Libs is what I like to say. And for those of you that have built your own custom bots before, go no further. This is literally the exact same thing as all other bot builders you've used. You write your system prompt, you give it a description and a greeting. And for those of you who haven't, the system prompt is what instructs the AI on how to think. But the description and the greeting don't actually affect the functionality of the bot, rather just how it presents itself. And then here is where you can upload knowledge to train that model on specific pieces of information. And one thing that's very incredible about Boodlebox is you can pick which model powers the backend, furthering that AI literacy for faculty and students. For me personally, if I'm building a bot that's a simulation and I want it to act like a person, Pi's my go-to. If I have a bunch of stuff uploaded in my knowledge bank, I like to use Gemini. And besides that, I just kind of like to play around with the other ones when I'm messing around. And if you've never built a bot before, or you like to build them efficiently, you can click on our assistant here, and this will teach you how, when, why to build those bots and write those instructions. So next, I'm going to show you a few bots that I built so you can see kind of how complex you can get it. So this one, I just made a tutor for my Management 101 class. And as you can see, there's core principles and just going in on how it should respond. And I'll show an example of this being used and being built. And then I give it the setting, the greeting, welcoming the students, and then I uploaded an old test, common students question and answers, and chapter one of my textbook. So now let's jump into how this was built. So building a bot, I like to say, has never been easier. And as you can see, I'm very organized with building my bots. So I built the tutor bot here. So what we did is we started with the bot builder. I uploaded all of my material and I said, I want to build a bot. Bot builder went and filled out all those annoying things that I don't really want to fill out. And then what I like to do as a pro tip here is then I switch to Claude and I give it all of the information. I like to call it brain dumping, where you just throw up all over this and explain everything that you're looking for. And then Claude goes and writes those great instructions. And then what happened was Coach Mode gave me a little tip. This is probably how I should build it. I used that, and then it wrote picture-perfect instructions for my bot to work functionally wonderfully. So then what I did is I shared this with my students. I had all of my students go interact with this bot and had them turn it in here to the submission folder. So then what I can do as the teacher is I can go see how my students were interacting with this bot. I can go see, this is how Sean was asking. These are the questions he was asking. He seemed like he was doing a good job, just going through everything that we wanted to. But one thing we understand that we learned very soon from our faculty is that educators, your job is not large language model output readers. So one thing that we've added is the ability to add folders and chats into the knowledge bank. When you add folders and chats into the knowledge bank, what it allows for you to do is inherently treat them like a PDF. So what I did here is I created a grading folder, and then I graded chapter one study guide. So I uploaded all of my students interacting with my tutor bot, and I said, can you give me an understanding of where my students are at with the material? And then what it did is it goes through and it gives me kind of a high level overview, right? And then I was like, I kind of want to know a little bit more specific things about what my students are doing. And then it goes and it tells me that. So it's great for interacting with how your students are interacting with material. Another example is just this discussion board. So I had my students go through a discussion board. I uploaded their chat and the PDF. And then I had ChatGPT apply a rubric, and it gave everyone a general rubric. And then I said, give it to me student by student. It went through and it justified why it was giving each grade to each student. So it's just a great high-level way to understand what your students are doing. So as you can see, these folders, you can pack them up pretty tight. And you can see that it organizes itself all within one course, from my teacher to discussion boards to submission forms and case studies. But in some situations, right, you as faculty are going to need to have complete oversight into what your students are doing. So that's why we built the assignment feature here on Boodlebox. What that allows you to do is set up a course. And within a course, you have certain sections. You can set up your section here, and then you can add an assignment. And what an assignment is, I just built this case study within the assignment feature. So you give details, a description, a learning objective, and then you can sandbox which bots the students have access to. You can give them access to everything, or you can just give them access to certain models. And this is where we believe, like I said before, Boodlebox is not a big brother. Boodlebox does not allow everyone to see everyone, everything's doing all the time. But students need a chance to explore. Faculty need a chance to explore. If they want to go plan a trip on the weekends, it's not my business. But in certain situations, faculty need complete oversight into how their students are interacting with AI start to finish. And that's exactly what we built here. So again, I can click into my course. I can come into my assignment, and I can see that these students have worked through my assignment. I can see that Robert's in progress. I can see this is exactly what he's doing. These are the prompts he's getting. These are the outputs I'm getting. And if I wanted to, I could come in here and say, Rob, I think you need to give more of your opinions here. And then it'll jump in and it'll leave a comment. So it's a way for you to interact, oversight your students interacting with AI, and you can sandbox it to just a custom bot that you would like. So that is the 30,000-foot overview to Boodlebox. There is so much more that can be done, like multilingual conversations, speaking with multiple students that don't speak the same language. And the last thing is, when your students graduate, they will have access to all of this forever. Boodlebox is portable. It can be turned off if your university would like. But besides that, your students, while using Boodlebox in college, are developing an AI literacy resume. Thank you so much for being here. If anyone has any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to help, and we're excited to work with all of you. Thank you so much.